intro once it goes live. Yeah, perfect. Beautiful. Alrighty. Hi guys, this is George from DoraHacks. Oh, there we go. Perfect. Hi guys, this is George from DoraHacks and welcome to the Saga Multiverse Hackathon Workshop 2. Today's episode will be hosted by Prashant, co-founder and CEO of Spheron Network. Today's workshop will be hosted by Saga's partner, who will provide a workshop on their APIs and developer offerings led by the CEO, Prashant, here with us today. We are happy to host this workshop with Saga and their partners to give the community some insight and know-hows into the Web3 space, touching on various topics. For a bit of an introduction, DoraHacks is very proud to support Saga on their latest hackathon, Saga Multiverse, which is currently underway on the DoraHacks.io platform. It's a great opportunity for developers to earn a share of the prize pool, and hopefully today's workshop is helpful for developers building not only in this hackathon, but also in general for the developer community. For anyone in the Binance Live chat room, please feel free to ask questions as we go, and I'll ask these to Prashant at the end. So without further ado, let's welcome Prashant. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you, George. Thank you for having me, and also thank you the entire Saga team as well for having me here. I'm excited to present Spheron and how the devs and the builders are going to be using Spheron for their next hack. Shall I share my screen now if you guys are okay?
Yeah, sure, go for it.
All right.
Yeah, Prashant,
so
you know what?
I'm not...
Yeah, go ahead, definitely share and do. I'm sorry, I just got to jump in real quick before you get started. First and foremost, yeah. I want to say, thank you for being part of the Saga community. And just let everyone know. I mean, you guys have been a part of us. You've sponsored, our reactor. You sponsored the hackathon. I know you're about to get into it, but just, those who are just joining us and listening, and those, that are going to be listening, just a quick recap on why you're going to want to dive in and really, really pay attention to what Prashant and what Spheron's doing. I mean, you've got the Web3 compute marketplace. You make decentralized app development extremely easy. You've got this really cool SDK for people to easily upload, store, pin, and even fetch files from IPFS. On top of that, you've got your, edge caching, DDoS mitigation, Git push previews, pipeline deployment management. It's like, I just want to emphasize, as myself being, head of product here at Saga, I mean, these are all things that Web3 developers are really looking for. And they may know certain, sections of this and subsets they need now. But the reality is you guys really offer an all-encompassing package. I mean, even one of our innovators, Link World, that you're familiar with, I mean, they're deployed and using you as well. And Link is on Saga as well, building, and they've built some really cool stuff. So anyway, I'm sorry to jump in like that, but I just had to really get the importance out here. And again, thank you, Prashant, for coming in. And again, thank you, DoraHacks, for helping, bring all this together. And Prashant, I'll let you take it from there.
Thank you so much. And I really love and appreciate the word which you have just put for us. And one thing which is, I know as you are from product guy, you will understand much more deeply, is like building all these features is not a single day task. It took us a year to basically make that happen. And also the intent for building, just to add, you have covered all of those things, actually, what we are doing at Spheron. But just to add on top of that is the why section, and that is where I'll be diving into. Because that why is very important, because whenever we talk to developers, whenever we talk to founders, there is always a question which always comes to my side, and anyone who is building the Web3 side, infra side, is why Web3 infrastructure, okay, and why exactly it is even needed, and all of those questions, concerns, and everything. I can go like hours and hours into detailing all of those things, but while I'm going to present this entire presentation, I'll try to pick some points, and will also tell you is like why those points are very important, why you should even consider moving to the Web3 infrastructure. I'll also try to give you certain examples like during the entire course, and then I'll do a quick 10 minutes demo as well, so that you can also get familiarized with the platform as such, how easy it is to make that, and I'll also point you and give you certain documentation so that you can always go and take a look on those documentation. Our document is great. With those documentation, anyone can do whatever they want to around this Spheron platform. So to get started with, I have just mentioned this topic here, and you also have pointed rightly, is like building the Web3 product with the Web3 infrastructure, and that will make more sense versus building Web3 product over Web2 infrastructure. that doesn't make sense. Like for me, I come from an architecture background, and believe me, if you do that architecturally, that is totally wrong. Like you should not do that. You should rely on the things which really supports that in the future, and it should be like futuristic, as Web3 has been building into that space. Coming to myself first, whatever I'm going to speak, I'm not going to speak as a CEO here. I'm just going to speak as a builder into the Web3 space. I have my own records into the space by working with some of the cool people into the space in the very early days. Also been contributor into the few places. We were in the kernel, Gitcoins. I also come from Web2 background, which basically means like whatever I'm going to speak, I speak from both the worlds, because I've lived that world as well. I'm also living this world as well. And if you ever fall into a problem statement where you are confused, how exactly the architecture how architecturally the Web3 is much more robust than Web2, feel free to DM me. I'll be more than happy just to take the conversation forward and discuss that in detail. Coming to the part which we all have been seeing, James, like everyone who will be listening here is like, most of the time, this is the question which we always hear is, hey, Prashant, Web2 has much more tooling. Web3 don't have for the infrastructure. Web3 don't have like a lot of support, automations, and all of those things, right? Web3 even don't have infra, don't even have performance, security, scalability, and they come up with a lot of tons of excuses not to just shift their behavior. But in reality, they are just stuck in the behavior issue versus the tool issue, because we are solving a tool. So it is just because the behavior, we are stuck to the Web2 tools and services. We are used to using it. The only thing which will happen, the shift will happen eventually, but I'm here to make that shift very smoother so that you guys will feel that, and then you can jump into that. So the topic which I have put here, the first topic which I'm going to discuss about is the current state of the Web3 infrastructure. And the reason I picked that versus picking something else around Spheron, why you should go on Spheron versus on all of those things, is because this topic going to play a very vital role. Anyone who is going to be listening this, is why you should be, why most likely you might not be using Web3 infrastructure. And those are the reasons which are listed here. And then I'll come to the Spheron and we'll show you is like how we are solving these problems so that you don't have to solve this manually to yourself, and you can go on Web3 infrastructure immediately from the day zero itself. So first is the learning curve, which is already written here. Learning curve basically means like, let's say if I ask you, if anyone of us like in this meeting room or who will be hearing out this, is if they have to use storage in the Web2 world, we have, you go to AWS, you get S3 out of the box, you get Glacier out of the box, you get all of those things out of the box. And then, for Glacier, we have to go for archival storage. For hot storage, you go for S3, and then you kind of build on that. You can build a cache layer and build a proxy and everything, and you are sorted, right? And if you have to build the same thing, or you have to use the same thing in Web3 world, it is kind of like very tricky to do that, because you have not one storage protocol, you have multiple storage protocols out there to work with. And then just imagine you are an architect, or you're CTO or the CEO of a company. Your job is not to maximize the work for your developers to start looking into these technologies, versus your job should be to work towards the place where your developers have more efficiency, right? And that is where the learning curve plays a very vital role. Like, shall I read this? Shall I learn this? Because my use case solves that problem. My use case doesn't solve this problem. Hell lot of things. Like it's a rabbit hole of learning curve. Like you just keep on getting into and it just doesn't get over. And then the other part, this is not going to be related to a lot of people who will be building here, but let's say if most of the people who are going to be building here on the Saga itself, so that basically means like you guys are going to be building apps, and apps which is going to scale and change, and the application, the things which are going to scale, and the scalability does not comes out of the box. You have to do marketing. You have to do a lot of tons of other things as with that. Just imagine if we come and come to you and tell you is like, we have something which is very innovative, is called, we call it as a grand dispersal model. It can be named anything. Like for you, let's say you are building an app, you want your early user to be incentivized. So you can use this particular model to incentivize your early users. And you can, it's a plug and play model. I'll also show you like how it works in Spheron. But just to give you the glimpse what exactly it means, for the foundations, it makes more since because now they have a system in which they can enforce project and applications to use Web3 infrastructure from the day one, because AWS is not paying them anything, or most likely they might have got investment from AWS. That is a different thing. But apart from that, you don't get anything out of that. You are driving their adoption. But what happens? Your chain transactions, millions of dollars are being spent on running the Web3 infrastructures on the Web2 infrastructure. Imagine if those millions of dollars are still intact with the Web3 infrastructure as such. How cool that would be, right? And that is where the grant disbursement model going to play a very vital role. Fragmented ecosystem, as I spoke about around the learning curve, it is the same thing. But here I want to emphasize few points. The learning curve I emphasized around is like learning the different technologies. But the fragmented ecosystem is mostly around, let's say, I am currently building inside Saga ecosystem. So for me as a user, or for the Saga as an entire platform, the focus should be is how much attention you should garner into your system as long as user is building on top of you. And to keep and retain that attention is very difficult into Web3 spaces. Like every now and then the things are changing and people are just moving here and there. And that is where the fragmented ecosystem, like what we are trying to do is we are trying to just merge it into single lens. And then once you start seeing that line, you see that single line versus the multiple lines going into different directions. So as a user, as a developer, you just come and you come over a single line. So let's say if you want to go in Saga lane, you just go into Saga lane and your entire journey will be around the Saga lane. There will be certain points when you want to cut off, that is different thing. But most of the time, once you are into that lane, you will get that lane very clean, neat, and straightforwardly to solving your mission. And that is what the fragmented ecosystem kind of what we are trying to solve currently at Spheron now. Automation, believe me, Spheron has one of the best automation which you can find in Web2. You can find the same in Spheron. There might be few things which we might have missed out. It is because our team is very small. We have not raised $1 billion into to build these things. We have raised small, we built small, and then we are going to scale big. And that is what whatever. But as a developer, as someone who is building the applications, as someone who is looking to scale your applications, whatever you need, everything is there. From your GitHub workflows to commit previews to private web hosting to stealth mode web hosting to storage to CLI to just name it. You have all of those things to make sure like your life becomes easier. And that is where automation kinds of start kicking in. Support and education. If you don't like whatever I'm going to tell here is just a word, but if you want to see this happening, go and join our Discord channel and just ping there a message by saying, I need a support. Most likely you'll immediately within, if it is not weekend, because we don't work in weekend, we are also people, like we have to spend some time to ourselves as well. But if it is weekdays, most likely you'll get a response immediately. And one of our devs, or even myself as well, even one of my CTO, even my CTO can also get on a call with you, or my co-founder, anyone like in the team can get on a call with you and provide you immediate support in solving your queries, making sure like you are up to the speed and mark to attain your like a mission to go to the market. Wallet and tokens. This is very interesting part, and this I always emphasize is like if we don't start spending money of whatever we are earning in crypto back in crypto, we are doing unjustification to the entire system. Is like all of the people who have like become billionaires into the crypto industry. It was long back. Now the games will be changing, because now more and more consumer-centric products are getting built, and the more consumer-centric products are built, we have to make sure they are spending into their own native tokens so that their economy can be boosted, right? And that is where we want to focus on. And with Spheron, we highly take this very seriously. It's like wherever we work, wherever chain which we go into, we make sure we add the value into that chain in whatever way possible. That is one thing. Second thing is like their community can basically pay into the token which is being supported into their chain, versus like you have to go to some different chain and then switch to that chain and then pay for it. No. If you go to Spheron, wherever we are, if you belong to, let's say, Polygon community, if you belong to Solana community, if you belong to Saga, most likely once they will also go mainnet, will also come onboarded as well. Once you go in any of these places, wherever we go, we make sure like we introduce their supported tokens, their things, which can basically interact their community as together, right? So you can use the same token for gas fees. Just imagine some stable into the same chain can be paid for your infra cost as well. So now you don't have to take out a fiat and make sure like you go and deal with OTC desk, or you don't have to deal with anyone else, and your game is already sorted. So that is what the current state of the Web3 infrastructure is. Coming to the solution is Spheron, and I'm going to just show that as well, is how Spheron is kind of solving this problem statement. Let me just go quickly here. All right, so what exactly we do, I'll show you the demo instead of speaking here, so I'll not get deeper into that, but whatever I've just spoken previously, everything is covered in Spheron. I'll basically walk you through that as well. But before I get into that section as well, there are a few things which I also wanted to highlight at this point of time while I'm speaking about it. When we started building Spheron, there was the first concept was the DeFi, and a few days back I was explaining to my team members as well, is like why DeFi should not host their front ends on centralized servers or on any of the servers out there. And that is where this is going to be very interesting for the developers to understand. If somebody is building a DeFi, or let's say ReFi, or any kind of RWA or any kind of asset into that direction, this is going to be making sense to them a lot. Is if you're building, let's say, a DeFi application, if you're building any such sort of application, you should never go on a centralized server, because you will end up in exposing your entire central database, which basically is hosting the entire web hosting. And then anyone can from your team, who knows, right? If $1 billion is sitting in front of you, who says no to that, right? You should be ready to do a crime, and people have done that in Web3. it's not new here. So how exactly we can mitigate that? You can mitigate that by making sure like none of the team member, even as a founder or as a co-founder, as a DAO, as anyone, should be able to modify those user interfaces, which is directly exposed to the user. And you can do that by making it immutable, and immutability can be achieved only with the decentralized storage, which we already have. Now, at Spheron, there's one thing which people always ask, like, are you guys competitor with all of these people of the storage space? No, we don't. We are aggregator. So instead of you going and using them directly, you can do that. If you are a good developer, you have time, you have resources, you have ample amount of time to go and do all of those things. Feel free to go and do, and we also will love to support you in doing that. But believe me, you will end up in not using at a scale, because once you go at a scale, you need someone who can keep on supporting you in the scalability side, who can help you to provide the automation, who can help you to provide the build, a lot of things which comes into like once you go to the market. So for all the DeFi people, anyone who is building the space, go ahead and like log into Spheron today, launch your web application, manage it from there. You don't even have to come back to Spheron again, but be very gentle to your community whose money you are holding with you. So that is what I just wanted to point out for the developers who will be building into the DeFi space. For anyone who is building into the other sector, that also makes the same sense. Is like the moment you deploy anything on Spheron, via Spheron, everything becomes composable from the day one. That basically means, let's say I just hosted one NFT data set via Spheron. Now I don't like Spheron. I don't love Spheron. I don't love even its founder or the CEO, whatever he spoke till now. But I just use Spheron just to launch my NFT. And now I want to go to some other protocol and want to access the same NFT. How can I do that? You know what? The moment you do that with the Spheron allows anyone around the network to pull that data out of the Spheron and keep it into their data set. That basically means you don't have to rely on us. You just have to rely on us in managing if you love the experience of the Spheron. That's it. Rest everything, even if we shut down tomorrow, your data, your website, your everything is going to stay intact, stay live, and you can still access that from anywhere around the world, like from any gateways. Let's say some other company might have raised much more than us, or they might have done much more better than us. You can go and use them. You can still pull the same data set, same hash, same NFT from anywhere else. So just to emphasize on that part as well. Coming to the product, let's say if you are building an app, and this is more focused toward the people who are building the app, and I believe James has given a good example of the Link world as well. So not only them, so there are a couple of more projects who we are also kind of working closely with. What we are trying to see, what we are trying to enable, or you can basically enable for yourself is you can build a really good use case for your users. So let's say once they kind of sign into your platform, you can, and this is in closed beta. This is not open for anyone to kind of go. So if you are looking for this to get the access, do DM us, do ping us, because we are still building into the closed mode. We have not yet opened it for public to start using it. But if you are really interested to test it out, feel free to just DM us. We'll be more than happy to give you the access. Now coming to the part is what we are trying to do is, let's say if you have an app, if you have something, now you want to onboard your next 100 user, 1,000 user, 10,000 users, you can literally go and incentivize them just plugging one SDK into your system. And then the same plug can also be used in Spheron as well, in partner network out there as well. That is what we are trying to enable. And soon you are going to hear a lot. I'll not get deeper into this much more, but if you are interested, feel free to DM me. We are getting ready for this as a good launch, and it is going to benefit the entire Web3 ecosystem as well. Coming to, again, I'm just going to just summarize a few more things. What we have just discussed again is what we are. We are the aggregation of the Web3 infrastructure providers. Not only aggregation, there is, after aggregating, you need to make the entire system robust, more performant and everything. So aggregation is one thing, performance, robustness, automation, and everything which comes as a package with this Spheron. That basically means, like, if you're using Vercel today, if you're using Netlify today, if you're using any AWS or any sort of those application, believe me, go and use Spheron. You will have the same experience like them. You will have the same performance speed like them. And that is what we have done so far. No wallet and token at start. And we do it. We do it very effectively. Like, you don't really need a token to basically get it started. You go to Spheron, use it. If you love it, go forward, use it, keep on using it. If you don't love it, drop it and write a good feedback to us. Like, guys, this platform doesn't work for me. I'm leaving this platform. And we'll be more than happy to take your criticism, take your feedback, and we'll work upon that, is like why you kind of left. So we'll make sure, like, next time some other users should come and they stick with us. Coming to the second part, the third part is like no code dev tools and automation. That basically means, like, you have everything, like from your every commit deployments to your preview deployments to your automated IPNS pointing to IPFS pointing to SDKs to CLIs to run your everything locally to whatever you need to make your application scale and really move much more faster. Everything you get out of the box from Spheron automation and no code dev tool, which we have built so far. Built-in grant disbursement model, I think this is going to be more relevant to the people who will be falling into that category. But again, if somebody is interested, please shoot us a message. We'll be more than happy. Education and best support channel. I've just told is, like, we have the best. Go ahead and check us out. And if you find we are not, then write us a message. I'll be more than happy to take that forward. Simplified payment option on-chain and off-chain. We are currently working on off-chain. We are launching soon an off-chain payment. So our intent is to bring fiat into crypto and not crypto into the fiat. So with the off-chain payment model, it is going to enable us to bring like Web2 users as well and Web2 developers as well to onboard around the Web3 infrastructure. And that is what we are kind of working on. Soon it is going to go live, but till the time it is not live, I know you guys are already in crypto who will be listening it. So please go ahead and use your on-chain payment options for like paying any kind of infra cost on Spheron. And I just wanted to add on is when I speak about any such sort of thing, we mean it. We literally go and talk to our users, understand what is their pain point, and we are very user-centric startup at this point of time while we are speaking. And Spheron, we just focus on user, and whatever our users say, we do that. And that is how we have been able to survive this bear market. I think it was our second bear market, but we'll be like ready for the bull market for the next year. And that is how we were, because we were focused and centric around the user versus centric around building some speculative community out there where everyone is just asking us when token, versus people should be like giving us the feedback. Is like, is your token is your product is working? Is your product is going into the right direction? Do you even have this feature or not? Are you really happy to listen our feedback or not? And that is what I have just pointed out. A few teams here. Link is here. Metawork, who are building an awesome, who are doing great job in terms of providing the DAO communication layer for the DAOs they are currently working on. There is a ARVK team from our Weave community itself. They have been using us from the day one, like when we were like product which was rarely usable. Like Like they started using us that day, and they're still intact with this Spheron. The only reason they're intact with the Spheron is because of support which we have given to them. They went everywhere. They saw most of the things. It did not work out. They stayed with Spheron, and they are still using and paying Spheron every month as we speak. So that is what our thing is. And if you see that if you're building a gaming project, and this is where you can get inspiration from the gaming team, which was using Spheron. They have used Spheron to gain the global CDN performance for their games which are getting served on the browser. And Spheron has one of the refined, or you can say performant deploy, like CDN caching for the gaming projects as well. So let's say if you're building an Unreal game on the browser or something like that, go ahead and use and deploy on Spheron, host the entire game on Spheron. It will work flawlessly, and you can go and try out somebody else also into the space, and you will find a difference. So that is where they also have started us. This is just for everyone, just to take a look. This is how we are kind of working on. This is the number which I wanted to show everyone here. Is like, I know this number is not in millions or hundreds of thousands, because in Web3 we still have very less number of developers, and we have to accept that. But out of that less number of developers, we already have around 4,760 plus developers who are already using Spheron. That basically means they have touched base of the Web3 infrastructure. And it is the immediate goal for us to convert either, like a lot of them are from the Web3, but there are a few people who are from, some of them are also from the Web2 world. And just imagine if those Web2 world people are also using Spheron, then how the massive it will become once we bring the other thing into the picture as well, like fiat. The moment we'll bring fiat, will excel into this space as well, is like go ahead and start capturing the Web2 developer market as well. And that is where our focus will be remaining this year. Now I'll jump into the quick product overview, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to pause here. If anyone has any questions, even James, if you have any questions, feel free to ask. If not, I'll love to get into what we are doing at Spheron.
Happy for you to continue on with what you're doing and give us a demo.
All right, let me go ahead and do that. Hope my GitHub is logged into this one. All right, this user interface. So we have got multiple feedback to change this little bit. So you're going to see a new user interface soon here. But just for everyone's knowledge, there is a very sleek dashboard which you really wanted to build from the day one. Is the user or the developer whoever is onboarding, they should not get confused what exactly and where exactly they should go and land into. So the first thing which you see here always will catch your mind is the new project. Let's click on this new project and see what is happening. But I'll go on this new project later. I'll walk you guys through first around these segments so that you understand few things much more in detail before I jump into that. So there are a few things on Spheron which we have laid out very clearly. Is every dashboard belongs to an organization. So you can always click here and you can find any organization. So there is an organization, and organization is going to have its own set of repos, own set of people and everything working around. So that is how we have kind of seen this. Or you can say in Web3 world, it can be a DAO. Every DAO can have its own set of people like working around, and people who is owning the DAO or contributing to the DAO can also log in and can manage everything from here directly. Once you select that your organization, wherever you are at, you will land this page. Now in this page, we have a section called billing and members and settings. Setting is not going to be very highly effective for till the time you end up in like too much of a dashboard and everything. Till the time you don't archive and do all of those things, setting is not going to come very handy for early days. But as you move forward, you'll realize like you need that. This is one of the interesting features which we have built at Spheron. Let me tell you how exactly it is interesting, and there are very less projects who have done it in reality as well. So if you go to Spheron's billing, in the billing, if you see my wallet is being connected, I can go and see my wallet is connected to Arbitrum. I'm paying by USDT or whatever. Now there is always a concern for admin. So let's say I'm a CEO of a company. My job is not to always go and keep on deploying the application manually. My job is not to also go and it is sometimes. So you can put all the job role on the CEOs. That is a different thing. But there are a few things which is like it's not our duty. It's one of the developer who has to do it, right? Who has to just make sure like everything is smooth running, or the CTO of the company. But I'm the admin. I own the wallet where the money and everything is there. But how I am going to make sure like my people can basically onboard into it and can use the services without paying from their wallet. So it basically means like you attach one credit card and you invite 10 different members, and that credit card will be responsible for paying your subscription fees versus 10 different people, right? So we have used that allowance model into Spheron, and Spheron payment contract is also open source. We have recently open sourced that as well, so that anyone can use that can use that smart contract layer and can build your own payment method. So if you want, you can go to Spheron FDN on GitHub, and you can find that contract open source there as well. So what can happen here is like you can go and add. So let's say if I want to add this email ID of mine, I just have to say send. I might not be able to add now because my account is not upgraded yet. But if I send here, it is going to tell me, hey, you know what? Your account is not upgraded. Please go ahead and do the upgrade, and then come back and start sending that invite. And that is where the add member is going to be like coming very handy for the team who are scaling. There are 10 different people in the team who are committing day in and day out, and that is where it is going to be very helpful for the team to manage those things. Coming back here, we have invoices. Did we see like I never seen invoices in most of the Web3 products, but we have invoices. That basically means like we work legally. So you can go to invoices, you can download those invoices, whatever you have paid for. You can also see from which chain you have made the payment, so that you don't lose the track of those payments. And that is where we have these invoices intact. We have coupons. Coupons is basically, let's say I already have applied this coupon into my, it gives me some access to Akash. I'll show you how exactly that happens. But at this point of time, I already have this coupon, which has 97 days remaining for me to utilize it, which means like I can see its expiry is on August and everything. So let's say if you are building something, or even if you're early user and you want to try the pro feature of Spheron or something, ping us, we'll give you one unique coupon code to you. Or even if you're building in Saga and you need a coupon code for all the Saga, just come to our Discord, write a message by saying, I'm currently building into the Saga ecosystem, into the Saga Hackathon, or even I'm building into the Saga ecosystem. Just ping us that message on Discord by tagging your project or GitHub URL or something, and we'll make sure you get a unique code from our side to test out the pro version of the Spheron, and free of cost. We'll not charge you for that. You can use it for 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, depending on like what exactly you're looking for. If everything is good, you can get 3 months or 4 months as well. And this is where the payment history and everything comes into the picture, where you can go and see the payment history. Did I make the payment or not? Or was it a coupon or something? This place is very interesting, because in this place, you can go and see the website which I have deployed, how many requests it has received. When I say websites, it is going to be like number of websites which you have deployed. We have not yet segregated that to specific web applications, but we have this now on the very high level, like on the organization level. You can see which are how many applications you have deployed and how much requests they are generating, and all of those utilization, like how much domain you have attached, what is the IPv storage you have used, how many parallel bits you have, parallel uploads you have, all of those things. Like you get those users here. Now coming to the gateway, and this is what we have recently launched. So let's say I'll go here and I'll show you a quick demo here. Let's say if I want to go and access any of these Spheron deployed site or something, you can still go to ipfs.io/ipfs/ and if you put your IPFS hash URL here, it is going to open that particular web app which has been deployed like in an open gateway. But this gateway is not as reliable as it has to be. So let's say if you start getting millions of requests, you can't use this gateway to make that happen. And that is where this gateway comes into the picture for this Spheron. So you upgrade that, you attach your own dedicated gateway that can be, so you can attach a domain on top of that gateway as well. So you can white label that entire gateway for yourself instead of relying on public or any third-party gateways out there. And you make that gateway purely yours and use it for retrieving the data from IPFS or serving your web application, or do whatever you want. Like it's up to user how they want to use it. Now coming to deploying the project, it's very easy. When I was speaking, I clearly meant is like we wanted to build an experience so that people love using it. It's very easy. Like you just go and click on new project. You will able to see this project, whichever I have selected. If you are not seeing that, that basically means like you have not yet configured the app. So you have to go to configure the app, and this app is not created by. So we did created the app on the GitHub, but it has been GitHub. Like we have to rely on GitHub to make that happen. We are currently working with the decentralized repositories, but you also know how Radical and other people are currently working. It is, I don't know, like even if it is usable at this point of a time or not. So you have to just configure your app, give the access of repository, whatever you want to launch. So let's say I want to launch this app, which I have now. Now this is the beautiful part. This I can challenge you are not going to see this anywhere else. And that is where we become more agnostic. We don't differentiate. We are more focused towards bringing infra as a neutral layer versus infra as a fragmented layer or very maxi layer, right? So you can find multiple storage providers here, which we are currently supporting. You can go and click on that. So let's say I want to deploy an IPFS. You click on IPFS. And all of these configuration will be understood by developers. Whoever are developers, they will be able to figure it out what these configurations basically means. And then you just have to go and let's say, let me just read this and just go and say deploy. And the moment I click on deploy, it just starts the process. It creates an environment for you so that your environment is safe, secure, and everything. And once the environment is created, it starts deploying from that environment to the selected provider, wherever you have just launched that application. Now there are tons of features which James was talking about comes into the picture. Is where are those features which we have just spoke about? So if I go to this repository, you see the build has already started now. If I go to this repository, there are tons of features which you are going to start seeing here. If you see, there is a symbol of build which is going on here from the Spheron side. That basically means like GitHub also knows we have used Spheron for deployment. Now, let's say if I want to make any commit from here, and I'm literally not going to deploy anything. I'm just going to make any commit from here, and we'll see what happens after this commit. I'm going to just make the commit, and I'm going to go back to the Spheron and going to see what is going to happen. So if I can see here, there is already, which is a new deployment, which I have triggered. It has been triggered now again. Is like a minute ago, and this is how. Okay, so it did not trigger the deployment. So let me just do the recommit again and see if it works. So this is how software works. Whenever you show a demo, it doesn't work. It's my 10-year career, which I've seen that happening. But anyways, the moment you make any commit here, let's say if you have already done any kind of deployment here, it might miss out. But if it misses out, you can also go and re-trigger the same thing by making some commit, or you can also, I'll show you how to do the re-triggering as well. But if you see now, there's already in pending, there is one in queue, right? And the queue is basically where once this deployment is completed, this is going to come into the picture after that. So every commit, you keep on pushing that commit, you keep on getting this coming into this queue. And the more commit you'll have, the more queue you are going to see your commit. So that basically means like you're doing a continuous delivery as well for whatever you're building. Okay. Let me show you one more thing here, which is very interesting. If you see, there is a called development written here on the bottom. And then there is a production, which is written here on the bottom. What exactly these things are? So at Spheron, we have built few things, which is sandbox. We call it as a sandbox environment, or you can say, you can create your own boxed environment in which you want to point a different branches of your GitHubs to deploy onto that environment. So let's say dev.Spheron Network will point to IPFS, and let's say main Spheron Network should point to Filecoin, like, or you can define whatever you want to. What you can do is you can go here and you can basically literally change those things up. So you can point any branches. Let's say if I'm on production, my production branch should come from main, and I can just save it. And my development branch it is not yet configured. So let me just configure that. It should come from staging, and then you just go and save it. The moment you will save it, what is going to happen is once you go to GitHub, let me go to GitHub. Let me go to staging branch here. And let me make some commit in the staging branch and let's see what happens. I'm going to just make the commit here and just done. Let me submit this. Okay, so the moment I submit this, again, the same thing should happen. Is I should get a new deployment triggered here. Let me see. Now it is in queued, right? So the new deployment just came in the queued. And if you look at closely at this deployment has done from staging branch. If it is clearly visible. So staging @275F2953 is the commit, which I have just sent now. And this came from staging branch. I did not done anything. I just changed the branch and committed. Spheron picked that up using webhooks and it just start deploying it and start preparing your environment. Now, the other question which we always get is like, okay, fine. We have environments and everything. Is it possible to point my environments to the specific domain which we have? So let's say you can't just rely on this environment, right? You also have to point these to specific domains. And this is where you can do that. So you can go and select your environment, let's say development environment, and then you can go and give dev dot or xyz or whatever you want to give to that domain and say add, done. Just verify your domain, it's done. You don't have to do anything else. And your entire journey will be sorted. You don't even have to now rely on Circle CI. You don't have to rely on anyone else to basically keep on deploying your commits, which are very expensive in nature if you go and if you're using Circle CI today. So a lot of these things which you get out of the box from Spheron. Apart from that, there are a few things as well. So every Spheron deployed version of the site is cached. That basically means whenever your user hit from any location into the world, this particular site will be cached. So if you see, if I'm just doing it, it is just loading it immediately. Its performance is as similar as Vercel, as similar as anything else you can find in the Web2 world as well. So that is where the other parts comes into the picture. And there are tons of other things which you can go and play around with the Spheron in the settings, and you will learn a lot around this while you are doing that. But there is one interesting feature I love that because I use it most often. It's the preview deployment. So what happens is like whenever you make any commit or changes or you make a PR, you get this preview deployment here. What this preview deployment basically means, you don't even have your developers, your QAs, your anyone who is building the team don't even have to come to Spheron to look at these things. So they can go into that PR, they can open that link which has been deployed on that PR, and then you can just check if that link is currently perfectly working or not. So that basically means once you configure, and then you go and keep on using. Just make sure you are paying Spheron and depositing your funds so that it doesn't stop. But if it stops, you have to just go and ask your admin to kind of take a look, and they will be like, it will be good to go. But as of now, this is how exactly it has been designed. Like everything from bottom up, you have everything to basically see your development, your production, your environment, and everything. Not only that, we also create the environment in GitHub as well, where you can see like we have already created production and development environment, and you can go and see that deployment directly from here. See, this is how it is easy. So you can always go and keep track and keep version changes, keep track of the version changes and everything from scratch with Spheron. Now coming to this interesting part. The interesting part is going to be around the compute, and which I have not spoken. I still have 15 minutes. I'll take 5 more minutes around the compute, and then it will be done. And then I'll walk you through the documentation so that everyone has understanding about the documentation, how to look into that. So once you come on this button, which is switch, and then you have to just say compute, you go to the compute, you get everything, whatever you get in web app, in the compute as well. The only difference is instead of launching a static web application, you will use it for launching any dynamic stuff over a Docker. So just, I always quote this, if anything you think can be Dockerized, can be deployed on Spheron. It's very, very easy. So if you think your apps can be Dockerized, you can use Spheron for the deployment. It's very straightforward. We are currently working on to bring tons of different features on the computer as well, but just to show you some is the first thing. If you have your own Docker repository, you have to just use it. It's very straightforward. Pass the values here, pass your Docker name, whatever tag it is, go to next, choose what exactly you're looking for, which kind of configuration you are looking for, choose that plan, and then map your ports and pass your variables. That's it. And it's done. And you just click on launch. It just does that. But let me give you a quick walkthrough is around the marketplace, which we have a very sexy, and that is where I think Saga and all those app chains who are building on Saga can also leverage this particular marketplace going forward. This marketplace, let's say if you are building on Saga and you need certain indexer to be built, or you need, let's say, something where you require a validation, or let's say you want to optimize your compute cost for, let's say if you're paying $100,000 in AWS, don't pay that, come to Spheron and let's have a chat. We can optimize that around 50%, even less than that. So how exactly it is going to work is you go and select, let's say if we are working collabs, if you reach out to us, what we are going to do is we'll list your computer in the marketplace so that your community can also participate in running those things. Or if you want to make it private, it's up to you how exactly you want to take it forward. So let's say you want it to be listed on marketplace, and you come here and you ask us to list that. We are currently working on it to make it more open source, so that people can basically DAO can vote for the listing, and listing can goes into, but that is a future line. But at this point of time, it is us who has to do it because we know how to do it. So let's say IPFS is already listed with us. I'll show you how exactly it works. You go to IPFS, you select your plans here. And when I say plans, if you see the cost is very cheap, and I can just show you the comparison of the cost. Go to Railway. Railway has a very good Railway web 2. Just let me write if the Railway. Okay, so this gives me, yeah, Railway has a pricing. If I go to the Railway pricing now, and if I look down here with the same configuration which I was talking here, let me remove this here. Okay, so the configuration which we are going to be picking up is this configuration: a 32 GB of SSD, 8 GB of RAM, and 2 CPU. It's costing me around $13 at Spheron at this point of time. And if you go to Railway now with the same configuration, let's try to do that. 2 CPU, 8 GB of RAM. We are already at $120. Okay, so that basically means like you can save literally a lot. Like while you, if you're not at a scale where you can keep on paying this much amount, you are always free to go and do that. It's like if you love to do charity, you can always go and do that. But if you don't, and if you want to optimize your infra cost, go and use Spheron, and it's cheap now. And who knows, like as we move forward, there are a few more things which we are going to be adding, support and everything. But the cost which we have kind of done over the time and the research and everything, it is always going to be much more lesser than all of these applications out there. Now coming to, let me say this. Okay, so coming to a few more segments here, you get members as such by default in compute as well. There's no changes. There is changes in the billing. In the billing, where we have this compute usage, where you can go and check the different thing. How much compute you have used, what is the compute which is running and what is not, how much you have spent total on your compute. So if you see, I have spent so far $13 on my compute, and I don't have no use, like I don't have any uses left. So that basically means I have utilized everything, whatever I have. And if you want to go and upgrade that, you just go with the same process, go and click on upgrade, switch to Pro, and you will get all of these things out of the box and start using compute. It will be much cheaper. Now coming to a few more important things, which people always ask me is, do Spheron support any kind of domain attachment on the computes or not? Yes, we do support. So if you go to Spheron, you can enter your domain here. You can select the instance which you have deployed just now. Click that instance which has the right port mapping. Map it. It's done. Your entire instance will be proxied via Spheron. So Spheron becomes the proxy server for you, so that you don't have to expose your main server to anyone else. And then that is how we kind of and you can protect yourself, and you can do a lot of things around that as well. And not only that, our proxy also comes with enabled caching layer and all of those things. That basically means like you don't have to build that proxy layer. So in AWS, if you have to do the same, I don't know if you can do the same in AWS directly, but you have to build a proxy. Basically, you have to go and deploy the proxy and make that happen. In DigitalOcean also, DigitalOcean has done that on a proxy layer, but in Spheron also you have, but much more cheaper price than DigitalOcean. Go and use it. And if you want, we can give you the coupon here. And one more thing, anyone who logs into this space, they get 15 days to 1 month of a free usage of the compute. So that basically means like you can go and select that any part of that compute, depending on like what is the resource which you have selected. You can use it for 10 days, 20 days free of cost. It doesn't even charge you anything. And then we have a lot of things in the compute, like you can close, you can do tons of different things around compute as well. And this is it around our entire solution on this Spheron side. Now I'll quickly jump into the documentation. Docs.spheron.network. You just have to go here, and whatever I have just spoken till now, everything is here. So you don't have to like even see this recording. You just have to go to last minute and see where you can find the docs, and you go to docs, you can find everything. So let's say I want to use Spheron SDK for uploading my data sets, or let's say, or uploading my NFTs, or uploading anything. You can go and we have two SDKs, browser and storage. You can go and see the code here, like how you can find that. And then you go to npm, install it, and it's done. So everything with whatever I have spoken is already into the documentation. But there is one thing which we have very sexy. It's called, I just want to show you. It's called Spheron CLI. So if you write Spheron here, so there is a Spheron CLI. It helps you to speed up your boilerplate code. So let's say if I want to create a D app, I have to say Spheron create -D app. The moment I do that, it is going to ask me, do you want to create from default template, or you want to create from the template which we already have support? So let's say I want to create a default D app. Which kind of D app which you want to create? Next.js or React? Nowadays, Next.js is very trending, so Next.js. So let me do this test. I'll go, okay, where do you want to launch your D app? I want to launch on IPFS. All right, so it is done. Your D app is ready, and your boilerplate code is also ready. You go and say cd test and CLS, you already have all of these things here. And now if I go and say code, see, I'm also CEO of a company, but still I use VS Code. So you can imagine like my day in, day out is also like working with a lot of developers. So let me just show you. So this is how your VS Code is going to look like. You get Spheron.js, JSON by default inbuilt into your this thing. You get your public, you get whatever you think you need to basically launch your Next.js application. And we are currently working with the templates as well. There are a few templates which are already there, which you can always go and use it. So I'll pause here. I believe I have taken here. We have still 6 minutes remaining, but I'll pause here. I think I have covered everything around Spheron so far. If not, everything is in documentation. Go ahead and use documentation.
Fantastic. Thanks for sharing all of that with us, Prashant. I really appreciate your time. We are running out of time here, but I will ask you, in terms of obviously, developers that are watching this, where can they go to, find out more, more information and really reach out to you and the team to get support from you guys?
You just have to go to Spheron Network on the main site. All this Spheron Network, if you scroll down, or on the top, there is a section called Join Discord. Click on Join Discord, just join our Discord community. That is where we are very active. Now, let's say if you are very anti of Discord and you don't want to join Discord or something, we have an email address. You can mail us at info@Spheron.network, and that also you can find it on the bottom on the email tag which we already have on the website itself, and then you can just mail us directly, and we will be more than happy to respond. Even if you're not even that email freak, like you don't want to send that email, we also have support. Like there's support button on our landing page as well. Also inside the app, where you can go and click on that support button, which will come as a message symbol there, and type your message there. Somebody will, the team will respond to it. Perfect. We have opened all the channels too.
Yeah, perfect. Now, I just wanted to make you repeat that again, because I know you said it earlier on, but I just want to really make sure and really bring it home to developers that you guys are there to support them and help them out. However they want to work with you guys. So we do have a couple of questions here just from the audience. I will ask one of them here. There's a couple.
Okay, so they're asking like why I don't have an upgraded account, because my team don't give me the coupon, and that is the reason. Like, so I have to like beg for the coupon to kind of go and get that. But I have one more upgrade. If you guys want, I can show you and share you that as well. Upgraded also, it doesn't make any difference between upgrade, but let me, if somebody has just told that, if you guys are okay, I can show that. That will be much more beneficial to the person who's asking the question.
No, go for it.
So let me go and do this. Yeah. So if you see my screen, there's a Spheron team, which I'm part of. I'm a member of this team. I'm not the owner of this team for everyone's information here. So if I go here, this has a gateway enabled. So you can go and create your own gateway. So let's say test.spheron.network. I can go and I'll not create it because or else my CTO is going to like shout on me is like, why you have done that. But this is how your upgrade is going to look like. Nothing different. It is going to be the same. The thing which will become different is if you see, we have this many team members added. So that basically means like all of these team members are rigorously making commits. And one more thing, our entire Spheron websites, everything is hosted on Spheron. And we have been detoxed multiple times. We have been done multiple times. So you can have a faith. If we are hosting our own shit on top of our own thing, then you can totally rely on us in hosting anything on us as well. So Spheron's everything, like from docs to your landing page to apps to anything at Spheron, we host on Spheron to make sure like we first use it, then we have to sell it to somebody else. So that is where we kind of get that. And then we have this dev.spheron.network. If you go here, it's remained the same. The view remains the same. Nothing changes. The only thing is like few more features will get enabled, and that is it. And then notification and all these things become much more robust.
Very perfect. Well, thank you. Thanks again. And thanks everyone for joining us today. A very special thank you to Prashant and the Saga team as well. And thanks for sharing, obviously, this very useful insight into your APIs and the developer offerings at Spheron. We do really appreciate it. And obviously, everyone in the developer community and people watching, love having these workshops and seeing stuff like this. So thanks again. And as mentioned previously, the Saga Multiverse Hackathon is currently underway on DoraHacks.io and it ends in about 27 days. So there is a bit of time, but I mean, you know how it goes, time does get away. So make sure that you do get your submissions in. And if you have any questions, please make sure that you do reach out to either the Saga team or DoraHacks, and we'll help you out for sure. So make sure that you guys do keep on top of it. On DoraHacks, we do have a range of sessions coming up like today's in the future. So if you haven't already, make sure you do follow us on Binance Lives and YouTube. And for all the audiences, please make sure that you do follow Saga, Spheron, and also DoraHacks on all of our social media channels to stay up to date with everything. So thanks again, guys, and we really do appreciate your time. Thanks, guys.